How you doing? This is George from Truck Driver Nation. And what we're going to go over, I'm going to give you two different scenarios on how a professional dispatcher should actually be looking at the low boards, how they should be actually understanding they're dealing with the brokers. My voice is a little rough today, so I'm going to kind of keep it low pitched. But that being said, let's get through this. And so it's based on two different scenarios. One we're going to discuss Phoenix to Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona to Chicago, and then another one from Phoenix down to Miami. And this is the reason a lot of you guys are coming up short because the way you're it's not justifying. I get that's not what you're doing. This is actually what you have to make on a truck, or you're not going to make it. You're going to lose your owner operators if that's the situation, or you're killing your own carrier, depending on who's ever MC you're running under. So the first thing I want you looking at, one, you got to know your numbers. You got to quote with confidence. Stay profitable. I don't quote with confidence. This is what I need. If I can't get it, we ain't got much else to talk about. Now, every load is an opportunity. Now, remember, every load is just an advertisement. They're literally DAT, truck stop, 123 load board, and any other load boards. They're advertising a load for that given broker. Okay, you need to look in the right mindset. And if you see anything else outside of that I'm seeing, then make sure to get a hold of me because I must be going crazy. The low board is just the advertisement. Your job is to make a deal that works for you. They've already made a deal that works for them because they got that freight from a direct shipper. Okay. Now, if you're doing car hauling, it's totally different. But what I cover, what we teach is dry van reefer, flatbed, and step deck. So I'm going to keep it with those parameters. Remember, at the market, the way the industry works is totally different depending on what you're in, your niche, or what you're good at, right? So the low board example one, okay, so let's say whatever low board it happened to be, that we found it that it's going to be from Phoenix, Arizona, Chicago, Illinois. This is going to be going on a 53-foot dry van. Okay. Uh, whether it's vented or not, we're not going to get off into that. So the load board posted it, let's say it was a TQL for 6,500. You're not likely going to see it this high. I'm using TQL just because I made this up so that way you could get a better understanding. Every load that I actually dispatch is always going to be in accordance to what that driver is expecting, where we're going, the market, the time of the year, the seasons, and all that type of stuff. Which that is what makes up the market, by the way. People keep acting like it's something magical. But anyways, so the distance and time. Okay, so the total miles that we're looking at from running from Phoenix, running up there to Chicago is about 1,700 miles. Yes, I was going to give or take on that because it depends on how many stops you get out of route, all that good stuff. But we're going to divide it by 600 because I got to know the truck's got to do at least 600 miles a day. And you can take this and run it for any other truck. I don't care what they're telling you. I run 1,000 miles a day. I don't care about all that. We're going to stick to what actually is workable numbers. Okay. I mean, at 72 miles an hour, I can get in the truck and I can do just over 720 miles a day. That means nonstop. I stopped for that 30-minute break and I took off as soon as that 30-minute break was over. But in reality, it's going to be 600 miles. So divide that into the 1,700. That's going to give you 2.83. We're talking about of a day. So going rounded on up. So you're talking about it's taking 3 days to run this load. That being said, because remember you're working off a 14-hour day with a 10-hour break, that is 24 hours. So I hope that don't confuse you. It shouldn't be. You're a freight dispatcher. Minimum rate. So this is going to be what we're looking at to make sure that we meet the minimum requirements of what we need to make minimum wise on this load to make sure that we're profitable. For this is just pretty much, running across and shooting right on up. So look right here, it looks like well, actually, this representation above it's not going to be the correct representation, but it just depends on the route you want to go from Phoenix. Obviously, I'd run back across 40, maybe run up through Tulsa. That would probably be your best option. Cut it on up to, whether you can go to St. Louis and cut on up. But that being said, the minimum rate daily, I need $1,450 per day for my truck to move. So that's 3 days. That's right there brings me at $4,350 for those 3 days. Don't try to break your truck down into whatever. You need to round up. Yes, if it's just a small portion of the day, don't get overzealous. but make sure you're getting your 1450 per day. That's your desired mark. If you get over that, then you're doing a lot, you're getting gravy on the biscuit. Fuel surcharge, market wise, let's say, for example, we got ready to head up. So we know that we've had a fuel spike, inflation, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be about 30 cents per mile. So now what we need to take is that total mileage, that's 1,700, and we need to go and multiply times the 30 cents per mile, which is going to give us another $510. Next thing, we take both of those and add it together because, now if you're going to go up through 44, you're going to need to figure in tolls, but if you want to figure in tolls. But base minimum required, everything in, we're going to just basically go with the baseline price of the 4,350 that we need to make at 1450 a day, plus the additional fuel charge, which is going to bring us to 4,860. That being said, the load board rate that came from TQL on this given instance is going to be the 6,500. Our minimum, the 4,860, we subtracted out of that 6,500, and that's going to actually show us being profitable of $1,640. Okay, that's what we're looking at on that one, right? So would that be a realistic? You're going to see that? No. Okay, we got to be real realistic about these numbers. You're not going to see that hardly ever. That's somebody that they're hungry. There ain't no truck in the area. You just happen to be the only person there. Okay. The next one we're going to look at is actually going to be that load that actually came from Phoenix. Now we're going to actually show what it's going down to Florida. Different scenario. It's going to end up with different results. It's not to say that this is all inclusive, trying to get you to think. Same thing, we're on a 53-foot dry. TQL board has that same load, or not the same load, it's because it's not the same route. So, but it's going to be 6,500. So distant on this trip is going to be quite a bit more, which is 2,350. Now, when you're doing this is just the plain whatever. Make sure you calculate in your deadhead. Make sure you put your deadhead into this. So it depends on wherever that truck was at before they went to this pickup spot. You need to add that in there to make sure all your numbers stay correct. So your distance plus time. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. We got that 2,350. We divide it out again by that 600 miles that we know the truck can do a day. That gives us right at 4 days. Got a whole extra day now. So we rounded on up to 4 because it was 3.92. Come down. Minimum rate today, we're still at that 1,450. That means we need 5,800 because we take the 1,450 now times that 4 days. The fuel surcharge, we'll leave it at the 30 cents that we've got to increase in. We're going to take that 30 cents. Now we're going to multiply it times that 2,350 miles that we're looking at. And that's going to get you an additional $750, $705 that you need to add in to your minimum base rate. Another thing we're doing is we're going down into Florida. $1,000. I got to have $1,000 going down off into there because that's Florida. Ain't nothing going to be coming out of there. And if you expect something coming out of there, then that's your call. You're willing to roll the dice on that. I'm actually running a business. So that being said, an extra $1,000 for going down off into there. And then after we drop that load off, we got to come back out of there. Minimalistic, you're going to have to make it back to at least Atlanta. Could it be somewhere to the east or west of that? Yes. Somewhere before that? Possibly. But me knowing that I've got a trip going all the way back up to Atlanta, that's going to be another $1,000 on top of that. So we take the 5,800, the $705 for the fuel, the $1,000 for going down into Florida, and the $1,000 for coming back out of Florida. That now brings my baseline cost to $8,505. Now, that being said, now we're going to look at the TQL price. They wanted to offer $6,500 for it. So when I'm talking to them, if we cannot negotiate it up to that minimum, this wasn't extra biscuit on the gravy, because right now I would be at a loss of $2,005. Can't run that. I'm at a loss. That means I'm losing money. So that being said, that we'd actually have to be able to negotiate with TQL, and I'm actually going to go higher than this. I'm going to shoot high because it's easier to come down than it is to try to go back up after you've already underbid yourself. So I'm going to probably push somewhere around $9,000. because that way we can negotiate down that $500. Now, obviously, if they're going to run it way down to 6,500, then yeah, probably not going to happen. And, would I even take this freight? Probably negotiating this out. It's going to be an uphill battle, but I don't care about what the uphill battle is. I actually have to have this to make this truck run. Okay. Now, now what if the rate is too low? If the low board rate is below your minimum required, politely decline and just move on. Don't fight with them. Don't argue with them. It is just business. If they've got somebody else can carry it, let them carry it at a loss. That's the reason they're suffering. They're living paycheck to paycheck. They can't replace the parts in their truck. Okay. Trucks 100% break down even when they're brand new. And when they break down, they're crying and they're borrowing money from a business if they are working for a business or whoever else to get that truck back up and going. That don't make no sense. That is not good business. You shouldn't even be out there. Now, how to respond professionally. Hey, I appreciate the opportunity. My minimum to this run is whatever it's going to be due to my operating costs and the current market conditions. My operating costs and the current market conditions. Don't have to make it extravagant and then try to break it down to them. They know what it is. They're probably going to just not even care, right? Please keep me informed, or please keep me, obviously, my info for the file in case you need it. We are available. I've got a truck available and ready to go. So always stay professional, stay profitable, keep your numbers, know your numbers as far as running that trip, and protect your business. If you can't do these basic things, then you really don't need to be dispatching, or you don't need to be actually having a truck, because you're bringing hardship. It's not just you that suffers. It's you, the company you work for, or however it works out in your family, if you got household responsibilities and all that. So don't run your truck at a loss. And don't deal with the dispatcher that runs your truck at a loss. Okay. It's either a go or it's a no go. I'm trying to hang on. I'm not going to hang on for nothing. Okay. That's not going to be the way that this is going to work out. So, cost people often do forget to include that you're going to need to remember when you're actually dispatching a truck. Now, and you need to figure these into it. That was a basic scenario. Tolls, like the one coming out of Phoenix going up to Chicago. There's a toll road. I-44 is a toll road, and there's additional tolls in addition to that. How about the weigh station and scales? Do I need to scale that truck out? Is how much does that truck weigh? Can my truck take that load? Okay. Detention and layover. You got to have your detention and layover. This was a dry van load, so possibility for detention and layover is still there, but the lumper fees is next. You really don't have to worry about lumper fees. Do I still want them on there? I'm gonna ask them. Hey, I'm gonna note, because you're gonna have to need to know who's loading, who's unloading. Okay. Don't just assume things. Everybody in the assumption and all that, everybody gets in trouble, and then you're sitting there trying to negotiate your way after it when you've already signed the rate confirmation. Maintenance and repairs. Okay, that should be part of your maintenance program. Tire wear. I don't care if you just go down the street to Walmart. You wear rubber off your tires continually when those tires move. Insurance, that's one of your overhead pay if you don't have your truck completely paid off. And then permits compliance. So you're just thinking about that truck moving for that particular load. You need to make sure you remember these, whether it needs to be figured into the rate con at that given point, or these ongoing costs that need to be calculated in and held back so you can stay in business and still be profitable and afford to have a quality life. I'm not saying you live like a king, but thing is, you got to be profitable when the truck cannot move. And that's what a big thing owner operators do. They forget that they don't have the time, if they're running their truck and trying to dispatch, that they're trying to negotiate this freight on a 30-minute break or whatever it might look like. And they don't realize how much a dispatcher actually saves them money, because you're sitting in front of the computer dealing with direct shippers, dealing with the brokers, dealing with the shippers and the receivers in the aspect of moving that freight, as well as dealing with the owner operator themselves. You got to bring people's mind back around to the game that this is a business. If they have forgot and they're just chasing loads on the load board, I feel bad for them. There was a lot better way to do it, and they considered that themselves being beyond the strategy of doing it. Without strategy, you don't have success. You have a high risk for failure. So, and losing your equipment that you worked so hard for. So make sure to include these, price accordingly. Please don't leave money on the table. If you do, there's somebody else that's going to pick it up, and they're not going to say they appreciate it. They just know they got it and you didn't, and they think they're slicker than you. So the formula that you need to remember is going to be your miles times your daily rate plus your fuel plus your market premiums plus your deadhead costs. That alone is going to get you your minimum rate to quote that given broker for your freight. Your miles, how much you're running a day, your daily rate, how much I actually have to make on my truck a day, the fuel, if there's been an upward flexion of the fuel prices to make sure you're covering that, whether whatever form of surcharge it is, it has to meet that minimum fuel expense. The market premiums, and then your deadhead costs. Don't forget your miles, and then your minimum rate to quote. That's all adds up to give you that minimum rate to quote. Okay. Key takeaways from this whole discussion here that you need to keep in mind: load boards are ads, they're not contracts. Your numbers protect your business. Quote what works for you, then move on if it's not workable. Remember, you're running your business, not everybody else's. I don't care what the boy sitting next to me in the truck stop's making. That has no concern on the profitability of my truck. The next thing, the right customer will understand the value. I'm a professional truck driver. Okay. I don't have a long history of wreck, killing people, failures of service, and all that. That's what you're looking for. That's your customer as a broker, and I'm bringing the value to you. I got you covered, brother. The freight will be there on time. Stay ready, equipment up and running. You as a freight dispatcher, your mindset set on being there as the representative for that given owner operator. Stay professional all times. Don't let them, the semantics controlling the rhythm of the conversation. Maintain yourself. And obviously, if you put this into practice, you will stay an actually winning and profitable business. You as an individual independent freight dispatcher, and obviously supporting them to be profitable and continue to win as an owner operator. So I hope this helps you understand, what you're looking at with this. So if you have questions or concerns, please make sure these little QR codes right here, up here at the top, you can easily just snap a picture. That'll get you directly to me in Telegram. Yes, you can make a phone call. Go to Truck Driver Nation. There's all of our phone and contact information in there. You can actually hit us on 210-343-1118, but through Telegram, you get direct access to me. I'm more than happy to answer questions, any of your concerns or anything like that. If you need training, remember us at truckdrivernation.com. Anything outside that, just hit us up and we can go over and see if we can help you with any given situation. We're not the perfect for everything, but we're a damn good fit when it comes to understanding how logistics works. But that being said, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you. And obviously, y'all be blessed and be safe out there.